I saw this interview today with Scott Stapp from Creed. Theo Vaughn interviewed him. It was a great interview, matter of
someone
fact.
at work was talking about a podcast.
But Scott Stapp from Creed.
I mean, who interviewed him?
Theo Vaughn.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a great interview. But I guess there's a thing, and I've heard, but not a lot, but I've heard of it. For people always, I guess throwing shade on Creed. I guess Scott and Stapp, I guess, deserved it. But what I'm saying is that cheesy to listen to those dudes? Because at one time those guys were at the top of the game.
Man, those
Two
cats
of the best shows ever.
Those cats in Nickelback got it bad.
They got it bad, bro.
They got it bad, dude.
It was two of the best shows I ever saw.
I agree.
One was when they were in their heyday, and one was when he had filmed the looked like a prisoner video that someone had kept him prisoner, and the aliens were getting him or something.
That came from him. Oh, there you go. What you saying? What were you saying, John?
Well, he had. I don't know if it was like some kind of MySpace video or something like that, but he had got a video out there gone viral where he is in a hotel room, thinks people's listening to him. And
oh yeah, wow,
the things you would.
Paranoid.
He was a little beyond that.
Wait, he didn't really touch it on that, but he did say he did some crazy things.
Well, he didn't talk about the time he was in a hotel room. Thinking people were coming to kill him.
Yeah, at one time, people.
Well, that story has been repeated.
Remember when Fred Durst kind of called him out?
No.
What was that? I think that was at that Woodstock thing, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
Or something like that,
It's
or
'cause his old lady liked
or
him.
Lollapalooza, or something like that. It was
That-
something like that. But
hey,
people didn't like that dude. But is it because we're the older guys that we kind of like them, and the younger guys didn't really get it? Is that what it is?
I didn't get it, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I did get it. I mean, I did like it, but like I said, it was it was an acquired taste. But at one time, those guys were huge,
Yeah, I saw both ends of it. Man, when I saw them, they had a tour bus with a window that was knocked out. It had that blue painter's tape holding like a towel.
Oh yeah.
Thing. Yeah. Some piece of shit trailer with a fender half off.
Wow.
He had his wife selling T-shirts. This was at the Granada, and the Granada's like smaller than the Hippodrome.
Yeah.
So when you go in, you have to slide and slink through all the tables with merchandise and shit. I pretty much put my butt on her.
That's a tiny place.
On the table she was selling T-shirts from, not knowing it was her.
Right.
I had to get
Mrs.
by
Stapp.
to get by this guy, and
wow. So, and how about the other one though? The other show?
Well, the thing about that show was pretty funny at the end. He was kind of broke, and he was doing this tour. And
so this was before the height of his fame, or at the end of it?
That's what I was saying. The first show I saw was really, really good. Probably one of the best.
With Creed?
With Creed. The last show I saw with Creed was with the new band, and we saw him in Granada. But anyway, at the end of the show, there was some guys to the side of us that had been, they followed him for a number of dates in a row, and they were from like New Jersey, New York. They were the spiked hair, they'd done push-ups before the show.
Right.
Well, they throw a stick toward Amanda, right to her, because it's a small spot.
Right.
She reaches up to grab it, and when she does, that whole wall of those Goonies from fucking New York, just not all these football-sized player guys.
Right.
Just crushed her. Well, the camera's still rolling. She's got video of it, and it's spinning on the floor, and you hear her going, I'm okay. But Scott Stapp looks over, sees her on the ground, and he's like, I don't need any more shit, and goes, pew, takes off. He leaves the stage like that. The drummer that threw the sticks get kind of delayed a little bit, looked at Scott, and then he made his way off. But Scott was like, man, I don't need any kind of shit. I'm on probation. This girl just fucking got flung across the room by these guys that their creeps have been
He said
following
I'm
me.
on probation, man.
Yeah. I've been
I
fol-
don't need this in my life.
I've been followed
I
by
don't
these
need this
fucking
shit.
Italian
I can only
creeps.
break one law at a time, and I already left the county.
Yeah.
I'm in Texas.
But hey, one thing he did do is he testified during a time where you wouldn't say God in public.
I know, brother. He brings it. I'll
He-
give him that for sure.
He had like 20 seconds of him basically testifying in front of everybody, and everybody dug it, you know. They
Right on.
accepted it because it was when in Rome.
Right
kind
on.
of thing. There was no mocking. There was no nothing. Right now, it'd be a fool to try to do a prayer in, you know.
Well, dude, he
Yeah.
talks about it on the Theo Von interview, dude.
But, yeah.
He still I guess he is a Christian still, and how he wrote all those lyrics. People first mistake them for a Christian man, but he did that intentionally, not to be mistaken. That's just that was his life.
Well, man,
he was
he got his ass whooped when he didn't know scripture, and
That's what
you
it
hear the part
was.
about his dad.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was crazy. It was he definitely lived a lifestyle. You know, and how it's crazy in life. How even like I always don't put them together because I'm fans of both of them. But like even like fighters or musicians or whatever that are making it to the top. A lot of times, their stories are like, man, they lived drastic childhoods. You know what I'm saying? They really went through fire to get to where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's crazy how a lot of guys, you know, fighters and or even musicians have some kind of story like that. And that, like I said, he got his ass beat by his dad all the time, daily. Even when he was a teenager, he just couldn't do anything about it. You know, but.
So
Man.
you said you saw him with some guys that was a new band, so he kept Creed going with a new band?
It must have been Scott Stapp, right?
There was, all right, at first, Tremoli or whatever his name is, kind of was protective of the Creed stuff because Tremonti.
Tron, yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh, he was he was doing the Alter Bridge thing too, right?
Well, this is what the deal was.
Ah,
He was being kind of protective of the Creed stuff because he didn't have quite yet that band yet. But then they got Miles
Yeah.
Kennedy,
Miles Kennedy.
and they did
that
I
dude's
guess
a badass.
I think they started with like some kind of tribute thing where they weren't really together, but they played some songs.
What they call Creedish,
Creed Plus.
Creed-like.
Creed Plus Plus.
Creed Apollo.
two times.
Right.
2 times the Creed. But yeah, it was
Well, I dig Tremonti.
yeah.
You know, it was
But
just
He's a beast.
that cat was one of those guys, man. Like, you know, there's some singers when you hear them, it just doesn't resonate with you, and that was him. That was him for me.
He was like doing a version of Scott Stapp.
Yeah, and like Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Right.
I honestly never heard one of his songs.
And he talks about that. How people always thought he was a watered down Eddie Vedder. You know.
Really?
Yeah, he talks about that.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot of people talk about that. You know, it was what it was, dude. I dug him. I dug him all the way. I think the last album I bought was the Faces album, I think, and that was it. But man, it was good. And I think that let me down because I don't remember anything from it. I don't think. But
Yeah, well, there was good
There was a
bands
couple
around
of
then.
songs.
Were there?
You know, yeah. That was all around like the early 2000s, right?
But back to that story, you know, when that first happened, he was being real protective of the name, the songs, and all that stuff until he got Miles in the deal and
Right.
started actually getting somewhere that Creed never really got. Creed got a cult following, but the songs were a watered down version of something else. Well, Miles has got that, 6 freaking octave
Mm.
thing that he
Yes,
does.
yes.
And there was once that dude sang it was over for Scott.
yeah,
Anyway.
exactly.
It was like, yeah, he's done. We found the guy
So whenever you said he did see his good show, was that when Creed was at their height?
at the height. It was the was it Jar of Clay or whatever it was.
Where was that at?
This was in Dallas.
Yeah.
It was the big arena.
Who's the opener?
Oh, it was like a day of music.
Oh, was it?
Oh,
Okay, okay, I got you,
It
got
was
you.
I think there was like 3 or 4 bands before it, and I want to say Bush was there.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
The Collective Soul. No, it was Collective Soul, not Bush.
Was that like they'd have a big fest?
And they were kind of all that little bit rock, not real hard rock, but popular bands at the time.
Remember they would call it like Edge Fest or something like that, or
yeah.
it was by the Eagle.
I think
right?
you're right about that. It was
They'd bring some big bands.
Probably 2.
Yeah.
So were they the main attraction? Was that their?
Yeah, they were the.
They were the
They
main
were the
ones,
headliner.
and I guess they
They
brought,
brought the pyro. The pyro. They brought
They brought everything.
They brought it all.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
It was Scott Stapp.
Turn on the pyro.
Plus one, because he's in Dallas, baby. That
The
Dallas.
laser lights, dude. I dug them, brother. I did dig. So anyway, so is it cheesy? So here's the question though: is it cheesy to dig those guys, or? I mean, because are they the Nickleback of the United States?
No. No, and dude, like
They didn't write anything cheesy.
I don't know what happened with the Nickelback thing.
I think
you know?
I think that song's "I like your pants around your feet."
That didn't help, did it,
That
right?
was
That didn't
very.
help.
It was Avril Lavigne.
You're my every damn disease. I think,
It's
I think that just it was like this lyrics are just so. It was so. What's the word I'm